Red Raider basketball opens up their season with an exciting victory over Eastern Illinois. You're watching Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Robert Giovanetti. Gio, basketball's back.
It's back, and with a bang. What a night the opener was. The crowd, the banners, everything else, and then, of course, the play on the court.
About 45 minutes before tip-off, I walked out onto the court, and honestly, I was blown away. I had no idea that there were going to be that many students that early. It was crazy.
Yeah, and those that are familiar with campus, they were lined up all the way down to 18th and Flint. It was they were excited about basketball being back, and of course, Coach Beard had said he would go to a wedding this summer if we had a full student attendance, and his first thing after the game was, I guess I got a wedding this summer to go to.
Yeah, at least he's got plans for the summer, right?
Yes, that's right.
Around, 4,800 students that were there, and that message that Coach Beard had given out about if you make it to the first 5 home games of the regular season, you're guaranteed a seat for that Kentucky game. It's really paying off, and it's working, and you mentioned that you heard a lot of students talking about that.
Students all were asking me after the game, hey, am I still in the running to go to the Kentucky game and be guaranteed the Kentucky game? It was an incredible atmosphere. I think probably the best home opener atmosphere we've had maybe since the first one 20 years ago against Indiana. Tom Michael, the Eastern Illinois athletic director, told me after the game, he said, man, this place is incredible. This is a great atmosphere you guys have here.
Wow. We'll talk so much more Red Raider basketball coming up in just a little bit on Double T Insider. But first, a big victory in the first round of the Big 12 tournament for Red Raider soccer as they take down Baylor 1-0. I mean, Kirsten Davis, and we talk about her every single week, but she had the golden goal that would get them that win. You
can't say enough good things about Kirsten. The league obviously thinks highly of her for her postseason awards. That was a huge win, I think, for what Coach Stone would tell you, to maybe cement that you're going to host first round and put you in the running to host possibly second round if you get past that first round.
And Kirsten, of course, would lead the Big 12 in scoring, but she would be named the Offensive Player of the Year. Freshman Player of the Year was, of course, Madison White. How sensational have the two of them been just this year?
And if you think that earlier this year on this show, we weren't even talking about Madison, right? She plays because of an injury, and she has been everything they thought she was going to be, but they thought maybe starting next year. You talked to them about when they recruited her, but she has made some spectacular plays.
We have to mention, too, that Jordy Haar and Cassie Hyatt were also named first team All Big 12, and then Macy Schultz and Hannah Anderson named to the All Freshman team, so congratulations to all of them. Coming up next on Double T Insider, we'll rehash that first victory of the season for Red Raider basketball. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
Well, and you also lost a first-round pick the previous season when Zaire Smith went to the NBA as well. And, man, just T.J. Holyfield gets better and better as this one goes along.
Welcome back into Double T Insider, an 85-60 victory over Eastern Illinois to set this team in motion. How about T.J. Holyfield, 7 of 8 from the field, 15 points, 6 rebounds. What a really debut for him.
So many people have talked about, there's so many new guys on the team, and TJ actually talked about that after the game at the press conference, and you're wondering who's going to step up, and there's so many guys that can contribute, and he is a guy that I think maybe flew a little bit under the radar, but while we saw that what he can do.
And how about from range, too? I mean, you see him with a couple of step-back jumpers, and he knocks down a couple of threes, and it's like, holy cow, but this kid's also, what, 6'8"?
Yeah, he's going to be hard to guard. He's a tough matchup for almost any team that wants to play man defense, just because you're right, he's so rangy, and then he can go to the basket. He's going to be fun to watch.
And we can finally talk a little bit more about Jamias Ramsey. There's so much expectation for him, but he would lead the team with 19 points. I mean, I was really impressed with every single one of the newcomers, but I think we can expect big things from this one.
And Jamias' 19 points, I thought were kind of quiet 19 points.
Oh,
he didn't really have a big moment or try to take over, and he just lets the game come to him. He really played very intelligently.
And the thing that I like a lot that stood out to me was the fact that they just flashed a lot. I mean, you see TJ Shannon and what he can do and how athletic he is, and then you can see, just from Big Russ and some of those guys. I mean, they just flash so big, and it, I think, shows us a lot about the potential of where this team is headed.
And to me, the future of this team relies on a guy that's not getting maybe as much talk today is Davide Moretti. And he was such a big part of last year's team. I was really interested to see how he would handle last night, and the opener, and he leads the team. He's a leader on that team. You can see them looking to him in certain situations. He's another guy. He only had, I think, 3 points at halftime, but he ended up in double figures. So he's obviously the glue to this team.
So at halftime, the Red Raiders would lead 46-31, and if you were curious about who's going to be able to score the ball, 41 of those points came from newcomers, and so that just shows just the range of how many people are going to be able to get out and make plays for this team.
Every game, I think you're going to look at halftime, and it's going to be a different set of guys that are on top of the chart of who's leading the team in scoring and rebound. How about Chris Clark? We haven't talked about him. 8 assists for him, and another guy that's going to be a key to this team.
Really impressive play from the Red Raiders in their first game here at home. You can watch them again this weekend as they host Bethune-Cookman on Saturday. Coming up next on Double T Insider, we host Offensive Player of the Year, Kirsten Davis. We'll be right back.
Davis with some room. She fires. It's a goal for Texas Tech.
Big pass leads out in front of Davis. Strikes it. Goal, Red Raiders. Kirsten Davis, second of the night. Kirsten Davis stays with it. Goal, Red Raiders. 3-0 Texas Tech.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. I'm Taylor Peters, and I am thrilled to be joined by the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, Kirsten Davis. Congratulations.
No, thank you.
How did Coach tell you?
After practice today, he just pulled our team in together, and then, he just said that we have a couple awards to celebrate, and they're all team awards too. But yeah, and then he just told us, and there's a lot of people that got awards, and there's a lot of people that I think deserved awards too.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that it's not about winning awards and it's not about the accolades, but I mean, you mentioned it, it's a team award, but it's the hours and hours and hours that you put in starting in the off season. And so how does it feel to just be able to be recognized by your conference to that degree? Of course, you're the leading scorer in the Big 12, but I mean, what is that just feeling to know that all that hard work has paid off?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it does show that it's a team award, because you can't score goals without it starting from the back line, being able to hold off other teams' forwards from scoring and keeping the lead once we score. And working with other offensive players, we create more opportunities to score, so we get more chances to put them away. Yeah. And so it's awesome to see that we're all being recognized, and it's paying off that we're playing so well together, and it shows on the field. And
your freshman keeper, Madison White, who's had just an incredible story this year. I mean, just she comes on in her very first game, 7 incredible saves, and it seems like she's just continued to maintain that momentum throughout the course of the season. Of course, freshman of the year in the Big 12 Conference. How proud are you of her and just what she's been able to accomplish so early in her career?
Yeah, she's been playing amazing. It looks like she's not a freshman. She's so calm on the field. She just has this presence on the field that we can just trust her, and she makes saves that I don't even know how she gets to the ball. I don't know anyone else who would be able to do that. And so, she's just playing so awesome, and we're all so happy for her.
When I've had a chance to really watch you play, obviously since your freshman year, but it just seems like this year you play with an entirely different level of just being intentional, and you're just so eager, and you're so just tough, in the way that you're approaching the game, and you're so hard to defend. Has there been a change in the way that you've maybe prepared for the season, or the way that you approach some of these Big 12 games?
Yeah, I think having more experience, just going through 2 years of playing in the college game, and then I think something just clicked that, to get further in the season and help the team get further, you have to find this new drive in you and just give it your all in everything you have. And I think now that's just part of my game and part of who I am.
And of course, a big win over Baylor in the first round of the Big 12 tournament. You now turn your attention to facing off against TCU, and you said earlier, okay, now we've got these Big 12 awards. I'm just ready to get back up and play TCU.
Yes, TCU is another good Big 12 team. And unfortunately, they took points away from us that we wanted in the regular season. But what's fun about the Big 12 tournament is it doesn't matter what happened in the regular season. We get another chance and another clean slate to play against them. And our eyes are just on that game and even the rest of the season. And so we're just ready to go show up for that game that day and fight 90-plus minutes if we have to.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to you guys this week, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider.
Jennifer Want actually scored from here against Drake before an offside call was made earlier in the non-conference. Here's your near equalizer for Baylor. Red Raiders not in the clear just yet.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. What a save and what a play by your Big 12 Freshman of the Year in Madison White. When you look at this team, I don't know how Tom Stone and his staff has done it, but each one of these freshmen have come in, and when they call their name, they come in and they make huge plays in big moments. I mean, they just play with such confidence.
I think a lot of that comes from the top with what Tom instills in all these players when they get here from the moment they set foot on campus. We talk a lot about with Coach Beard and his program a process. Well, Coach Stone has a process too that Nick and Gibbs and all those go through, and I think you see it play out with these freshmen. There's a lot of confidence in this group.
And it starts in the offseason too, and Katie Munger, strength and conditioning coach, she's really intentional about a lot of the things that they do, and everything is research-based and it's scientific, and it's really intentional just, you know, with the way that they're building their freshmen and the way that they're continuing to develop players like Charlotte Teeter and Kirsten Davis.
The development of each one of these players, you mentioned the freshmen, but some of the upperclassmen too, to see, you look at a player like Gabby Puente, and she's really having an outstanding this year when you compare to where she was a couple years ago. All this is part of the overall scheme that Tom Stone has instilled.
When it starts in recruiting too, because these girls are unbelievably competitive, and you see that in the way that they play, the way that they train, the way that they just approach the game in general, and that makes a huge difference.
And they recruit a certain type of player that has to be smart, has to be somebody that can think and intellectual, and again, we're seeing that all this year. Really
intentional out there on the field, but they also like to have a good time, and you'll see that here in this next video.
Hey guys, Texas Tech Soccer here. I'm Savannah Jones.
I'm Demi Koulizakis.
I'm Joanna Munoz. And we're about to have a skills challenge.
After the girls try to hit the goal and keep it on frame, they'll face the winner of Nick and I, which I am the 7-time staff crossbar challenge winner. So this shouldn't be that big of a deal, and I might just use my left foot.
All right, here we go.
Pata chueca. Pata chueca. Oh yeah, it's everybody. Oi! Don't worry, I'll get those to make you feel better. Missed that one too. One. Just make the other one on the ground. You'll have 2.
You're trying to make it harder for yourself. That's a good one. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, because it didn't go in.
Well, it's not fair to me.
2.
Oh.
Yeah. Heartbreaker.
Good job.
Please show that. Please start with that.
Save the best for last. Here we go.
Not clean. Oh! Oh! She doesn't even need her. She doesn't even need her 4th ball.
Time for the coach.
Get it, coach!
Louder.
Get it, coach!
I told you.
Game. 2 soccer balls. That's all I need. Sav, let's go.
I beat Demi and Luana. No surprise there.
I feel like when you have a competition against the staff, you should bring the better staff out. So that wasn't that big of a deal.
Okay, you're first.
Yep, I told you.
Start out easy.
Easy.
This is too easy for him.
So surprised.
This is too easy for him. Oh, what happened to me?
What happened to
This is it. This is it. I could beat good.
2 top.
I have one more. Let's go.
4-4.
No.
2.
I knew I was gonna win. I'm not surprised. No, actually, I am surprised because they're really good at this. Good game, everyone. I'm sorry I beat all of you.
Don't apologize. Champions don't apologize. We're here to encourage you. Don't worry.
Thank you guys so much for supporting us all season. We are so excited to keep playing for y'all in the postseason. Thank you.
Congratulations to Savannah Jones. She said afterwards, I was a little bit surprised there because Gibbs is so good. He wins in all these competitions.
Gibbs hasn't been beaten yet in their running race they had before the season, but so it's interesting to watch that.
Big 12 soccer will continue their run in the Big 12 tournament coming up this weekend as they face face off against TCU. We'll tell you what else is coming up in Red Raider athletics next on Double T Insider.
For me to be able to go get my master's, I think is really huge, and it helps me out for the rest of my life and helps my family out so much.
It means a lot because if anything, I want to make my parents happy, and making them happy is like seeing no stress and their relief that I got a scholarship here.
It means in the entire world to me and my family. Not everybody gets the opportunity, and the fact that I was one of however many to have that is just a blessing.
You know, everyone needs a college education, I think, and it would have been much harder for me and my family to do it without the full ride.
It means the world to me, to be honest, because without this opportunity, a lot of us don't know what we'll do without it, and we're very grateful for it.
I finally committed, and it was just like, this is gonna happen. And it was really great because if not, it was gonna be more of a burden on my family.
I think my 8th grade year, I got it. I got my first letter, and then I started to work a lot harder just because I know it'd be very good for my family and for myself as well.
It's been giving me like a better path than most. I get to do sports and focus on my education.
There's nothing like that call home to tell your mom you're on scholarship. And for me specifically, you know, it was starting to get really hard for my mom to pay for school, and we were starting to have to figure out a lot of different plans and loans and that course and whatnot. So the timing was perfect, but I mean, you can't put into words like that call and giving your mother that news. I mean, every time she's gonna break down crying and stuff like that. So it meant so much, and great reason why I worked so hard and tried to accomplish what I eventually did.
You don't have to, but you do. So extremely grateful for that. And we're trying to put on the show, trying to win as many games in the Jones as we can for y'all. And that's our little way of saying thank you.
Thank you. You helped me and my family out because I know that there's not a lot of scholarships going around. So me being blessed to have one, and just thank you for everything.
You know, everyone sees what you do on TV and the success you have on the field, but there's so much that goes into it off the field. You know, for the donors to give their money and really change my life. I mean, there's no way I would have ever been able to pursue a master's and pay for that. So I think it's really unspeakable on how much it means to the players and also the program. I mean, for me to be able to go get my master's, I think is really huge, and it helps me out for the rest of my life and helps my family out so much. So we're all incredibly thankful.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Red Raider football goes back out on the road this week as they face off against West Virginia in Morgantown. Kickoff is at 11 o'clock. Meanwhile, men's basketball will face off against Bethune-Cookman Saturday at 7 p.m.
Texas Tech soccer Friday night semifinals of the Big 12 tournament. They'll take on TCU. That'll start at 7 o'clock. And the Texas Tech volleyball team home Saturday at 1 o'clock hosting Baylor.
That's all of our time for now. Thanks so much for being with us today on Double T Insider. We'll see you next week right here on Fox Sports Southwest. And if you missed any part of today's show, head on over to TexasTech.com or download the Texas Tech TV app on Apple TV and Roku.